Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Sharon Somek. I am a general pediatrician and the founder of Raiseology, where I help parents with their parenting struggles. Today, I am going to be going live on the barriers to being the parent that you want to be. And I promise you a very special announcement towards the end of this video. So definitely stick around and keep watching so you don't miss it. I am very excited and humbled about our last video. It was my first Facebook Live video ever, and it got over 5,000 views. So thank you. I really appreciate you guys, and I appreciate that you shared it. And hopefully that means that people are excited to hear more, and that's why I'm here today. So common barriers to being the parent you want to be. And I say that because parenting is a very individual thing. Everyone has their own style, but what I hear all the time from parents is that, Sharon, I know what I need to do and how I really should do it, but it's just not happening. Well, why not? So there's a lot of parents are struggling out there because they're having difficulty with setting boundaries and being consistent. And what I find are the three most common barriers to that are, first, it takes a lot of effort in the moment. So, you know that you want to put your child to bed and your child is whining or having a tantrum about it, or they want another cup of water. Whatever the delay is or the reason that they are challenging you, it takes a really big effort to stay consistent in those moments. And that is hard for a lot of parents. I mean, I know that sometimes it's hard for me too. But I think if you really do the best you can to remember why you're making those decisions to begin with, it becomes a little bit easier to really stick to them when it's happening. And so if you're thinking about the reason for why you said no to something, or why you opted to have your children participate in something, and the bigger global reason why, then it becomes easier in those moments when you're meeting resistance to really go with your gut feeling of what the right thing for you to do at that moment is. The second barrier, that I find is very common is that everyone has an opinion on what you should do with your kids. So, your parents have an opinion, your friends have an opinion, strangers have an opinion, even people who've never had kids before have an opinion. And I do think that some of those opinions are really well-meaning, right? And so people are trying to help you out and they're giving you advice because they really want you to have an easier time. But all of those different opinions sometimes can cloud your judgment on what you really feel you should be doing. They can make you feel guilty about your choices, even when you know that they're the right choices for you. And just like all of our kids are different, so are we. And our parenting styles are different, and what our children need from each of us is different. And so try really hard to filter through the noise and stick to what feels right for you. It's sort of like when you're at the supermarket and your toddler is asking you for something on the shelf and you've decided that you're not going to give it to them, but they have a tantrum. Suddenly everybody's watching and it becomes really hard to stick to your guns in a sense and say, no, I told you you're not going to have it. And you can stay really calm during that, but it is challenging to sort of watch everyone around you watching you and still behave in the way that you feel is the right way for you to behave. Hi, Shanna. Hi, Melissa. I'm happy that you guys are joining us today. So the third reason is that I think we really want our kids to like us, and we're afraid that if we set boundaries and are firm on our boundaries, the more authoritative that we are, the less they're going to like us. And I can tell you from my experience that that is not true. I think setting boundaries is a huge act of love. I was raised in a fairly authoritative home. We were certainly, our opinions were welcomed and valued, but at the end of the day, my parents made the decisions because they have experience that we don't have, and they really did the best they could to make us understand that. But there was never one moment in my childhood where I felt unloved. And so setting boundaries and sticking to them and being consistent, in my opinion, is an act of love. It does not make your children not love you. I really think that they will one day appreciate you much more for that. And I mean, I can tell you a story from my own childhood. I remember one Friday night very clearly. I was 16 years old. Actually, my parents and I talk about this story often. My friends were all going to the city, and I live in Queens, so they were taking the train into Manhattan, which my parents did not feel comfortable with. I was 16 years old, and maybe that was the right thing for other people's parents, but it wasn't the right thing for mine. And they could have easily given in, because I definitely did cry when they told me that I couldn't go. And I didn't understand at that moment why other people's parents said it was okay and mine said it wasn't. And my father said something to me that I probably will never forget in my entire life. And he said, listen, the city is a dangerous place. Taking the train is not the safest thing for you right now. And honestly, I'd rather you cry now than me cry later. And it was hard for him. We've spoken about this many times. That was not an easy decision for him to make. He has a mature, responsible girl in front of him, and I had pretty good arguments of why I should be able to go. But at the end of the day, that was his decision, and I had to live with it. Today, as a parent, I completely understand that decision, and I appreciate so much the challenge that my parents went through in that moment, with me protesting and still doing what they really felt was the right thing for our family at that time. And so I think it's really important to remember, again, it all comes back to remembering what you want to do and sticking to it. And other people might listen to this and say, oh, well, at 16, it's totally reasonable to take the subway to the city. And if that's what you feel comfortable with, great. But if you've made the decision that it's not reasonable, stick to it, because your children will actually respect you much more if you are really sticking to decisions that you've made and you're showing them that what you say is really what you mean. So I promised you guys a big announcement, and I am going to deliver. If you are someone who follows me on Instagram, then you know that this past weekend, I was in San Diego for a special workshop on how to start a podcast. And I am announcing that my new Raiseology podcast is coming this summer, and I am super excited to start working on it and deliver you guys awesome episodes each week. If you want to be updated and not miss any updates about Facebook Lives or future podcast announcements, then I'm putting the link to the newsletter in my post. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm putting that link in there too. And if you missed the last Facebook Live, it was on how to develop a lifelong healthy relationship with your child, and you can find that on the Raiseology Facebook page. So again, just like in the last one, I will offer a free 30-minute consultation to one person who shares this video and writes the word shared in the comments. I did pick a winner from last week, and I haven't actually decided yet if I want to announce who those winners are, because some people might prefer to stay anonymous. So I guess we'll have to feel that one out. But I look forward to delivering more content. I hope you guys are appreciating it and liking it as much as I appreciate you. And have a wonderful day. I know here on Long Island we are having a gorgeous one, so I hope you're enjoying some good weather too. Thanks. Have an awesome day.